Just waiting for my stream to come up so I can test the volume. Probably a little higher. Okay, there we go. Sounds good. All right, sweet. So welcome to the stream today. We're going to be taking a look at video on mic's a little too far. Just taking a look at using the Microsoft Code Analysis CommandLineParser. I was originally going to use a different library, but this is part of .NET, I believe. I'm not super familiar with how to determine if it is or not. So if someone watching this has more information about that, let me know. But the plan today is to use this to, I've got some notes here that you can see on my screen here. We've got this split command line into arguments method on this .NET object. And the idea is, instead of using regular expressions, because if you've seen any of my past streams on using or on writing Curl2PS, I have, let's take a look here. So I've been using a lot of regular expressions to actually take a, actually I think I had some, well, so take a curl command string from API documentation and convert it to invoke REST method. So we've got to take it, we've got to accept that string, we've got to parse it, and then ultimately be able to convert that into invoke REST method syntax, with the idea being that someone can take and paste a curl command from API documentation and it spits out how to do that in PowerShell. And I just got a notification that I'm having network problems. Okay, and I'm a little bit sick today, so my apologies if I end up clearing my throat a lot. It's just trying to be able to continue talking. Okay, so let's see. I've got this zoomed in a little bit to kind of make it a little easier for you guys to see. I think I'm gonna adjust my mic a little bit more so I can not have to crane my neck here. Give me a shout if this is. I'm gonna zoom this out a little bit so I can see a little more. If it's a little too small for you, let me know. I can zoom it back in and just work around it. This is how we're gonna do it for now. Oh, also, so in this module, let's bend my mic just slightly. In this module, I've got a URL class, and this was actually written by Stefan. I think that's how he pronounces his name. I just realized I've had trouble in the past. I don't remember what the correct one was. And I came to find out that there's actually a built-in class in .NET for URIs. So it pays me to do this, but I'm going to dump this class and use the built-in .NET class. And so we can actually go, I think it's system.uri, new, and then give it a string. Here. So for instance, I'm looking at, I've got another screen open with my Twitch dashboard, and that gives us all the information that, and more, from what this class was already doing. And if I remember correctly, we were having some issues, like you see line 15. That's a lot of big regular expression. Regular expressions are fun. They're difficult to maintain, but they are a lot of fun. So I want to try to get away from that. So instead of focusing on developing really specific, like parsing a URL, I want to focus on developing the actual tool itself, if that makes sense. So we're gonna get away from that, and then in my curl command, so it starts by accepting a string, and I've got examples here. So here, line 17 here in the README, this is an example of the curl command, or sorry, a curl command. This is a fairly simple one that I'm going to use. And if I take this string and let's see, go back to my notes. I wanted to show just a quick example of why I wanted to do this. So, oh crap, it needs to it needs to, oh, yeah, remove hash comments, true or false. Okay, so we just need, I don't know that it actually doesn't make a difference. But anyway, so you can see what it returns is my command, or sorry, it parses all of the parameters, and that's the part that I've spent the most time on, is writing the regular expressions to do that. Like I said, it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work, and instead of focusing on those regular expressions, I would rather instead focus on developing the tool itself. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. And so I'm going to be using this. So you can see I've got the string array. So I've got curl, so the command itself, and then the parameter -h, which is a header, and then the value that came with that, and et cetera, et cetera. So that is how this module is going to get a lot simpler, a lot less complex. So you can see here, let's see, curl string match. So I'm, so this line 12 to 14 or 12 to 15, actually, so in Bash you can have a new line with a trailing backslash. So PowerShell, it's the backtick. Bash, I believe it's Bash. I'm not an expert on that. I would know for sure, but that's just how the documentation is. So I want to be able to remove that and still use the curl string. So that's what this 12 to 15 line does. And so I'm in a class. So I decided to use a PowerShell class that was suggested by Stefan. And so this is how it was implemented. And so this is where this comes into play. If you're not familiar with classes, I can explain this in more detail if you want. I'm just doing a quick overview before I get started. So this .raw command, so there's a raw command property on this class, which is just the string command as passed, except removing the new lines if they exist. And so this .method, so setting the method, so you can see that I'm setting the default method in case one isn't set later. So we're assuming get. Oh, actually, sorry, I thought I was just doing that because I was lazy. That's because the default method for curl is get. If you don't specify a method in curl, it defaults to get. And so I wanted to capture that as well. Let's see. All right, cool. And so I'm using the URL class that developed, or Stefan developed. I believe he was the one that actually came up with it. I may have done a little bit to it, but not a whole lot. And so we're pulling the URL out of that curl string because you notice in this output down below, the URL doesn't have a parameter name in front of it. There's no -URL. And I don't remember if that's just because it doesn't have one, or if I would assume that curl just defaults to taking the parameter that doesn't have a parameter name and assuming that's the URL, but it probably assuming it also parses to make sure it is the URL. But we can read the man pages if we've really got questions. Okay, so no URL is present. Okay, so and then if it matches. So this line right here, 27, this is checking for basic authentication. So that is one thing I didn't think about. So what I want to do is, let's see, I think I have an example with basic authentication. Okay, so here, line 41, this is how you do basic authentication in curl, or I don't know if it's the way, it's a way to do it. So you notice we've got the protocol, and then we've got a username, : whoa, I did not want to actually edit that. And then the password. And no, this is not a legitimate username and password, in case you're wondering. And so that's basic authentication. And then there's @ and then the rest of the normal URI. So what I want to do is I want to see if we can do system.uri. Okay. Let's go back to my notes. This is why I've got my notes file. Let's see, system.uri, new, and then we'll pass it that string, and let's see what that does. Okay, so we've got, okay, so it does have the authority, absolute URI. It doesn't actually pull out the, I was hoping it was going to be smart enough to pull that out of there, and there might just, oh, actually it is. Check that out. Okay. So you got user info down there, and so that's where it's got, it pulls out that username and password. Cool. So we can use this class to determine if there is basic authentication passed. And okay, so it is blank. So I just scrolling up. I'm looking at the previous URI or URL that I parsed, and it doesn't have basic auth, and so user info is false, or not false, is empty. So we can test for that. Cool. Okay. So it adds the header. Authorization basic, and then it encodes it in base 64. That's how we're going to do it, because I believe, so in PowerShell core, I know that invoke REST method has a, you can pass it basic authentication. I don't remember exactly what the syntax is, but in PowerShell, Windows PowerShell, I do not believe, and here I'm saying I don't remember what the syntax is in PowerShell core, and obviously that's not going to help me find it in PowerShell, Windows PowerShell. So if we check invoke REST method, I believe it's got a, maybe it's just a credential parameter. Is there a use basic auth? Use basic parsing, that's what I was thinking of, basic. Or no, I think it's authentication. Ah, yes, and then there's basic. Boom. Okay, so if we look in Windows PowerShell, there's not an authentication parameter. Okay, cool. So that is why we added it as a header, because I want this to work in Windows PowerShell 5.1 or PowerShell core. Cool. And so if we add it as a header, it'll work either way, because the invoke REST method commandlet will put that authentication information as a header, because that's how it works. Okay. All right. So line 36 here, I'm removing the URL from that curl string. I'm not actually going to have to do that because we have it all parsed out as our string array, so we can actually test and see if it is a URL. I'm just trying to think of how we're going to do this. Actually, I'm probably going to use a for loop, and then if the current item, so looking at this -h, has a dash or a dash dash, that is a parameter name, and then the next one must be the parameter value, and then moving on, and then that will skip 2. So we'll do an x equals x plus 2, or x plus 1, and then the for loop will, we'll get into actually the code writing instead of talking myself in circles. Okay, so in this one, while working strings matches, and so this is where I'm using that regular expression I was talking about to match the parameter, which has a dash, and it's 1 or 2. I'm not going to say we're going to get too much into regular expressions, and here I go. Okay, cool. So, and then here's another, this is line 45, another regular expression I wrote to match the parameter value with or without quotes or double quotes. And then we'll probably, well, I'll rework it, but we're going to save this switch statement and then the parameter name for each of them so we know what to do with it. And we're going to add more of those because the idea here being we'll spend less time developing the regular expressions and more time developing the tool, which is sweet. And before I make any change, what I'm going to do is I'm going to branch this really quick because I'm in the master branch. Create a new branch. Wait, hold on a second. I think we can just say create a new branch from master. Oh, crap. Okay, create a new branch from. So I'm going to call this parser. We'll call it the parser branch for now until we get it working. And then we will, so master, yes. Okay, parser branch. And then I'm going to publish it. So if anyone listening isn't familiar, I'm doing what's called feature branching, I believe. Well, we're going to stick with that. I don't spend a lot of time on huge projects that involve a lot of branching. So I believe it's called feature branching. If someone listening thinks it's something different, let me know. Or if you're watching the recording, because I do put this on YouTube, shoot me a comment. But the idea is you branch it, you develop a feature, and then you get the feature to work. Oh, what? I did not actually commit notes to. Oh, maybe I did. Okay. You get the. Oh, I added it. Okay. You get the feature to work, and then you merge it back into master, or whatever you call your main branch. Okay. So this way, when we commit to the parser branch, we don't actually kick off any of my automated builds, which I did accidentally earlier when I made a small change to the license file. I actually fixed my name in there. Okay, so let's get started. Actually running some code now that it's been, what, 15 minutes of me just jabbering. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete this class. Because remember, we're in a branch, so we can do that. Oh, added nodes for. Okay, I'm gonna actually commit that to the branch because again, it's a development branch, and secondly, I don't want that reminding me that I have to commit that. Removing. Oh, here actually. I'm trying to decide if I should. Well, we'll wait to commit it until after we get it removed. So we're going to system.uri for the URL. Okay, curl string match. So we're going to leave lines 12 to 15 here. This dot. Okay, so we're building the class. We're still going to keep the raw command. We're still going to assume the method is get. If not, we're not going to grab the URL out of there because this URL new, that actually grabbed the URL. You give it a string of any length and it used regular expressions to match a URL string out of there. So we're not going to use that. We're instead going to, we're going to have to use that later. This is grabbing the basic authentication out of it. But we're instead, as we're going to use the split command line into arguments method to split the entire line into all the arguments. And then once it finds an argument that doesn't have a preceding parameter name, then, and we'll test to make sure that's a URL, URI. And then once we've done that, then we'll assign that to this dot URL. And we're calling it URL. Okay, we'll stick with that because that's what it is. And it really honestly doesn't matter. Okay, so remove URL from string. So actually, we don't even need to do that again because we're going to be splitting it using the parser. Okay, so find all parameters. So this is where we are going to completely, let's see, while working string matches, we are going to completely redo this. So for now, I'm going to just minimize that. And we're going to say params equals. I gotta remember what it was now. Microsoft.codeanalysis.CommandLineParser. And I'm gonna have to do some tests because I don't know that this is available on PowerShell Core on Linux. So I was trying to get Windows Subsystem for Linux installed on my computer ahead of this so we could do some testing, but didn't have time. That's my own fault. Oh well. Okay, so we got split command line into arguments, and then we're going to pass it the curl string, which is the only parameter required for this curl command. Cool. Actually, I'm going to call it split params. I'm going to stay away from using the params because it's just too similar to param. Okay, and then we're going to do a for loop. So for x equals 0, x is less than split params dot count x plus plus. Okay, so now we're going to cycle through it, and the first parameter should be the actual command itself. So it's not actually a parameter, but it's curl. It should just be curl. So what I'm going to do, we need to test that the first one is curl. We can't assume that it's, I was initially going to say x equals 1. We'll start at index 1. But we want to, if curl string match. Oh, and you know what? This is only going to work. This is only going to work on Windows. I believe on Linux that the new line is actually just a single character. And again, this is why I wanted to get Windows subsystem for Linux set up, but next time. So put some comments in there. Come back to that when we were able. Okay, so we have split params equals CommandLineParser, split command lines into parameters. Okay, so if here's what we're going to do. So we are going to start it at index of 1, but we're going to say if split params 0 does not equal curl, and that's not case sensitive. Well, we shouldn't assume that. If split param 0 dot to lower does not equal curl, then what we're going to do is we're going to throw curl string does not start with curl. It needs to be a little more explicit there. Okay. Okay, so for x equals 1, so it's going to get either the first, so it's either going to be a parameter name or it's going to be a URL, or it should be. We're going to write that assuming that it is going to be, and then we'll come back and add some error catching as needed. Okay, so if split params of x match, and we're going to give it just a really basic regular expression here. I don't know if colon needs to be escaped or not, but we're going to assume that it does. Okay, so if it matches, if it's a URL, so we get the question mark, means that s is does not need to be there. And what's actually, I'm going to test that regular expression really quick. So I'm just going to do str match, and so I'm using that regular expression that I just overwrote in my clipboard. So we're going to try that again. Match false. Okay, so that should actually match. So let's try it like, I might be getting my syntax wrong here. False. Okay. And str is https : / oh, using the wrong slashes. Okay. And I do not believe we need the parenthesis there. Let's find out. We don't. Okay, sweet. Okay, so if get these out of there to match. Okay, so that's probably the most regular expressions we're going to write today. Okay, so if split params match https : / then it's a URI. Must be a URL. Oh. So what if your URL is passed as a value to a different parameter? So we also need to test test that the split params of x minus 1 does not match, not like, we'll just use not like. We want to make sure that the previous one does not start with a dash, because the previous one does start with a dash, then it is a parameter, which actually may or may not be true. Crap. And the reason I say that is because what if, so you notice we've got dash h. So what if this curl string is curl dash h dash h? Oop, we'll use double. There we go. Okay, so we want to do, so you notice that for one of the values I've got in quotes dash h. And if we parse that, oh, I was wrong. It's got the quotes around it. Okay. What I was thinking is that it would actually just return it as a string. Oh, it does if there are double quotes used. Okay, so that's what I thought it would do. Oh. So I can't think off the top of my head a good way to test to make sure that the URL is actually not passed to another parameter. Unless, well, okay, so we'll do it with some logic instead of testing it. And here's what I mean by that. So let me just fix this. So what we're going to do is we are going to assume, so every time we hit a parameter, and we're going to test for that first. So every time we hit a parameter name, so every time we hit a dash blah, something, dash h in this case, we are going to assume that the next one is the parameter value for that parameter name, if that makes sense. And so what that means is every time we hit a parameter, we won't ever hit a parameter value in this for loop, because unless there's switch statements. This is way too complicated. So every time we hit a parameter, so yeah, let me code and type it, or code and talk, code and think at the same time. This split params of x like, so if it's like a star or dash star, and then actually we're just going to do else if, or just else, and then we'll use this if. There we go. So if this is a parameter name, so if it starts with a dash, then it's assuming that the current one is the parameter name and the next one will be the parameter value, which is what we want. Cool. So, let me say y equals x. Well, x plus 1 is simple enough. We'll use that. Okay, so here's where we now have the parameter name and the parameter value. So we're going to copy the switch statement. I'm going to say copy because I want to save it in case we need to reference it again. Because I'm going to be dissecting it here and doing it differently. Okay, so param name. We use different variable names here. Param name equals split params of x dot trim. Is it trim left? Or trim? Oh, trim start. Okay, not trim left, trim start. And I believe the trim start will trim as many of those as you want. So str.trim So I'm doing a test down here. I don't think I'm covering it. No, okay. So there you go. So you can see down here in the example, I had a string with 3 dashes H. Doing a trim start actually removed all of them. Cool. Okay, so we have, let's see. So I'm going to take that trim out of there. Okay, so param name equals split params x dot trim start dash. Okay, cool. So we now have switch param name. And so that first one, actually we're going to say to lower and say H. I'm not actually sure if curl is case sensitive or not, but we're going to assume that it doesn't matter actually. If we do the to lower, then we're testing on, so this will work. This will work. Okay. So we've switched our param name to lower, so header. So what that means is, so this param value, like this comes from the regular expression. So we're not going to use that. This headers. I'm actually not sure why I did this way. So we're splitting it with the colon, replacing the whack double quotes with a single double quote. There is an example I specifically did this for, and I don't remember off the top of my head. I will have to actually go back and rewatch some of the stuff I did. Maybe I've got some notes. Give me a second. Pretty sure. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. So I think one of these. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure it was a Dropbox URL specifically. So we got post, Dropbox, header, authorization bearer, header, content type. Oh, yes. It was because I was splitting. It's because, okay, yeah. So I'll explain it here. So the header, so I got content type, application JSON. So I was splitting that. And if it was a header, I would split it at the colon. And I'm pointing at my screen like you could see that. But I'm not sure specifically. Let's look at that code again. Oh, that's not the code. This is, I'm already in command. Okay. So headers, split 0.trim. So I'm splitting it here and joining the rest of them. So this is just in case there are colons in the header. Okay. Okay, so there must have been, so I'm looking at this Dropbox header, authorization better, header, data. I must have had to send, oh, here we go. So line 9. So line 9, you can see I've got header, and then Dropbox arg, and then you notice that there's multiple colons in here, and I'm splitting it by all of them, and then joining them all back. Interesting. I wonder if there's a better way to do that with split. I always think about, see some of my old code and wonder what I was thinking. Anyway, we're going to stick with that for now. And, I'm already in VS Code, yeah. Okay, so we're going to say, so param value equals, there we go, and then param value equals split params x plus 1. Okay, and then we can say, get rid of that matches and just say param value, that split, replace. I wonder why I'm doing this, replace on //. Well, let's find out, actually. I can just, let's go to my notes here. We will parse this string. Whoops. Okay, so for whatever reason, doing it this way does not have, or it does have a backslash. So that must, well, I'm going to assume that I did that for a reason. I don't remember off the top of my head. I will have to go back, and I'm fairly certain I live streamed this, so I can go back and listen to my reasoning as I did it. That's one of the fun things about doing these live streams, is I can see what I was thinking at the time. Okay, so we're going to leave this as is. So split equals param value, and we're going to replace that. This stuff verbose. If you, okay, verbosity data matches up. We're going to remove matches since we're not using regular expressions. Prime value to trim, replace. Yep, doing that same thing there. Default right verbose. Unknown. And that's going to be, why is matches 0? Param name. Okay, cool. All cif split friends match. Okay, sweet. And then what this also means is that we are going to, so remember, if this is, here, I'm going to put some comments in here. If this item is a parameter name, use it in the next one, then increment x, so we skip the next one. Nice. Okay, sweet. So what I'm going to do down at the bottom of that is say x plus plus. And I'm doing this inside of the for loop so that it will then again increment it again, so that we'll skip the param value, which is what we want. Oh, except if crap. That's not true. We're not going to do it there because, for instance, a verbose parameter is a switch statement or a switch parameter. I'm not sure if they use different nomenclature in Bash, but we're not going to do that for -v or -verbose. But we are for header, for request, anything that gets the parameter, looks at the param value. Yes, x plus plus. Okay, and then default unknown. So what this means is that now if we have a parameter that we are not familiar with, it will break this. And the reason I'm saying that is because what if there's an unknown parameter that takes a URI, and then we assume that since we don't know what it is, we increment once, and then we are incremented to the value of that parameter, which is a URI, and then we assume that the URI is the URI that curl is pointed to. So I'm gonna just take this and say throw unknown parameter cannot continue. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, cool. So cannot continue unknown parameter. Okay, so then now we can assume that if we get a URL without a parameter name, that it is the URL that curl is pointed to. Sweet. And this is what we're going for. So this.url. This.url equals, I think we can just pass it a split params. I think we can just pass it a straight string if it's already that type. We'll find out. And then what we will do is we will just quickly comment that out. Actually, you know what? Comments like that are for people that don't use source control. Cool. So we're just going to delete that because I do use source control. Use it in the next one. Sorry, I'm updating this my comments here. So I just want to make sure that I understand this when I come back to it. So assuming that if this item is a parameter name, use it, then the next one must be the parameter value, unless the current item is a switch parameter. Cool. If not, increment x, we skip the next one. Perfect. Bam. Looks great. Cool. So this was a little, okay, so now we got to get the basic authentication out of there. Here's what we're going to do. So we're going to take this, and we're going to add this down to the bottom. there's my for loop. We're going to do this after the for loop because then we can check the URL for basic auth. If temp URL, if this dot URL, one of the values, I forget what the name of it was, but we already looked at this, user info. If this dot user info, if this dot URL dot user info, I deleted the parameter there. So we're going to say if null does not equal, and that may or may not test. I'm not sure if that's actually going to work. And the reason I'm saying that is because, well, let's do some actual testing instead of just conjecture here, because I've got a console. Okay, so system.uri, bam. Okay, so what the heck? Okay, dot user info null does not equal, so that's true. Okay, great. So then if we do a, oh, I think I've got a, so what I want to do is I want to look at an example where the URI doesn't have basic auth, so user info is null. Okay, so that is also returning true. So what that means is it instantiates that property as a type, but doesn't have a value. So we can say if user info dot length is greater than 0, because it's a string, right? Okay. This dot URL dot user info. Okay, so we're gonna switch that around. If user info dot length is greater than 0. Okay, cool. So that means, oh, actually, we could even say, instead of just saying greater than 0, well, I mean, that means it has a value. Since we're doing, whoops, where am I at here? Oh, I've got, we don't have to do, okay, so I had a regular expression, get the username and password out of there. We don't need to use that. Cool. So what we can do instead is, do a split, since we're assuming it has a colon in it, so it needs to be both greater than 0 and have a colon in it. This is user info, like, and we can test for both like that. So it won't, if it's greater than 0 and has a colon in it, except we want there to be, well, no, there doesn't have to be data on either side of it, because there are cases where you can pass a username and you don't need a password, so we're going to leave it like that. Okay, so encoded auth equals convert to base string. And even, and here I'm not even sure you need that colon. Well, you probably do, so we're going to assume that you do. Sorry, I was thinking about some of the other some of the other APIs I've worked with. Okay, so this dot, okay, so you give, so we're going to say this dot URL dot user info. Yeah, actually, we're going to encode it just like that. Cool. Yeah, this is a lot less complicated with this way. Okay, so URL no auth equals place. Oh, so now we want to get the URL without the authentication info in it. So let's I'm going to take a look at this object. Because we want to be able to query the URI without the authentication information in it, and it looks like we could rebuild it without it in there. We might have to, because we've got original string. I'm looking for a property that doesn't have the basic username and password in there. So the original string does, the absolute URI does. I was hoping it would parse that out of there. Let's see, is the URI, what other members are there? So there's properties, are there methods? Get left part. Not sure what that does. Make relative. Let's see what that does. Make relative URI. Oh, what needs an argument? URI to URI? What? URI to make relative URI itself, right? Oh, okay, so make relative, you probably pass it in a URI to make it a relative of. Okay, okay, that makes sense. Okay, anyway, so we are just going to have to rebuild it. But we can do that using these properties. Host, query, host. Oh, well, all we need is the oh, that gets way too complicated. Actually, we'll take the original string and we will just cut that out because it's got an @ symbol in there, so we'll find the first index of @ and then replace all of that up to the @ symbol with the scheme. I would have expected that to be protocol, but it's called scheme. Okay. We'll do that. Okay, cool. So we can do that by saying URL no auth replaces matches. Or we can use what I already wrote and just say this dot user URL dot user info and the @ symbol. Okay, we're just going to do that. That's what I did before, so we're going to use that again. Okay, and this should be this dot URL dot. Now I'm forgetting what the original string. Replace. Okay, cool. So this dot URL equals. Oh, we're going to replace it. Okay, actually that makes a lot of sense. So URL no auth. So this dot URL equals system.uri. Okay, so you notice here on line 69, so this .url, for some reason, either I or Stefan, declared the URI as a new URI. So maybe that's what I should do where I first set it. I'm going to try something. So if we go system.uri, URI equals, I just give it a URI. That works. Okay. Okay, cool. So I don't know that we need that in there, but we're going to leave it in there. Let's see, this dot headers, authorization basic. Give me a second. Okay, thought I had a notification from Twitter. Just kidding. Okay, so this is what we're going to do here. So I'm adding the header, so the authorization equals basic, and then the encoded auth. Remember, basic auth is encoded base64. And since we want to be backwards compatible, we're not going to use the new dash authentication in PowerShell 6. This will still work either way. Okay. Okay, so return to string, raw command, sweet, and then to invoke rest method. Oh, does have a toString? It does. Okay, sweet. Okay, this dot raw command. I'm just checking the rest of these to make sure that they're still going to work. So URI equals this dot method. This dot body length. If body length is greater than 0, then pass it the body as a body. Cool. Headers. If this dot headers. Oh, I made a convert to hash table string. Nice. How does that work? Oh, okay. Cool. So that just makes a so the the PowerShell syntax for the at open curly and then close curly. Sweet. Great. So this should work. To IRM splat. So the only thing we're missing here, I don't see verbose, and I added it up above. So we got header request. Oh, request type method. Okay, cool. Oh, so this changes the method, because remember earlier it was set to the default of get. Okay, so the only thing I haven't added is the actual verbosity. So I should say if this dot verbose. You can on a switch statement in PowerShell you can say dash verbose : false, I believe. Okay, because I know at least in the splat we could do. We could add it in a splat. So we could say out verbose equals this dot verbose, because you notice I have a default value for verbose, so I can set that and know. Oh, I got an example at the bottom. Interesting. I set that and know that it actually will be assigning a value to that. And I can do the same for the out string, this dot headers. So I want to say out string plus equals dash verbose this dot verbose. Let's see. I just want to make sure that oh, okay, so that actually won't work. So a Boolean to string, you can see down below, is literally just true. And so I need it to actually be $ true or $ false. So what I'm going to do is add a $. We're going to escape it, the first one anyway. This dot verbose dot to lower. That's a Boolean, so we need to first do to string dot to lower. Okay, we're gonna get nested there a little bit. That's fine. Okay, so this dot headers dot keys. Okay, so I'm going a little overboard here, so I want to contain all these changes and do an actual test. Okay, so I'm just reading through the functions. Oh, line 3. Now, I already test to make sure it has curl at the beginning. I do that inside of the class as well. More the merrier. I guess it makes the class portable. There you go. We can use it elsewhere. Okay, cool. So get URL data. So I'm going to say system.uri. I want to get away from using that URL class that I've deleted. We may want to add it back in. So Curl2PS. So that's my, oh, that's just the manifest. Okay, sweet. So let's go ahead and build this. What am I doing here? I believe this is an invoke build script. This is, oh, it is. Okay, sweet. So module build, ps deploy, invoke build, apply ps pester. Sorry, it's been a while since I actually looked at this. So test. Okay, so module build. We just want to use module build. Okay. So I want to build it. I want to test it. And, oh, build it and test it. Maybe there's a task for that. There should be. Yeah, test. There you go. Invoke pester test path. Okay, so let's just check the tests and make sure the tests are actually going to work. Oh, these were actually generated using... so Stefan's got a module for generating these automatically. I forget what that module is called, though. Okay. Let's just see what happens. Instead of reading it and guessing, let's just run it and guess. Oh, a bunch of fails. Okay, so URL does not exist anymore. So I'm going to delete this test. Yes. Okay, and we're going to run that again to at least clean up the output. Not at all. Wow, we did not get a single passing test. We got 5 fails. Okay, so let's start with convert to IRM tests. When past a, okay, let's start at the beginning. Describe test in convert to base group source public convert to Oh, so it's actually importing it. I'm going to comment that out because, so the test, at least the way that I like to write them, it does import the module. Okay, so 47, you can see it imports the new module. And it should have actually had a clean, so removes, yeah. Okay, so we should already have the module imported. So let's go back to the test. Convert to IRM. So we're not going to import that because we don't want to. Okay, and that doesn't make any difference. Not that I expected it to, but oh, what? It didn't even. Context correct URL case. Okay, so for some reason, it's only. Oh. It's not running that one because it doesn't have .tests in it. Okay, cool. That was easy to figure out. Really simple one. Okay, so now we got a couple of extra tests, which is cool. Should not be converted to skipped. Interesting. When passing correct curl command, it should return correct parameter can be found. It's parameter name. Script button convert to IRM does test. Okay. Line 26. Convert to IRM curl string curl. Okay, so convert to IRM curl command. Okay. Oh, it's because it expects a type, which the type should get a curl string. So I wonder why I call it, switch that name to curl command. Again, I think I live streamed that so I could go back and find out. Okay, so tests. So we're gonna switch this to, I'm just gonna, instead of updating the, here we go, curl command, that's what it got. Gotta skip there. So let's try that again. Oh, we still didn't get past. We gotta skip though. But it's skipped. Okay, so what are we getting? When past correct curl should return. Method, it cannot find an overload for split commanded arguments and command count. Argument count 1. So that tripped me up earlier. Tripped me up again. So let's fix that. So that's an easy fix. What was the second parameter? Somebody remember? I don't. It was something about comments. Remove hash comments. I want to say true, just because. Oh, we got a passed test. Okay, that's great. So we got the first one passed. No, it did not. Where context when passed it failed? Am I just reading this wrong? I don't see the convert to IRM test describing testing convert to IRM context 1, 2, 3. I see 3 failed, but I got 6 failed. Interesting. Okay, well, let's look at the tests and see if we can find that out. All right. So test case. So this is building all the information. Should be, okay, so when passed correct curl command, it should return correct invoke rest method. So test cases, I'm building the, so these ones were written by Stefan, because I didn't know you could do parameters on an it statement in Pester. I do know that now. Okay, so we got curl and IRME. Cool, so that's a hash table. So curl equals invoke rest method. Okay, so he's already got that in there. Interesting. Wonder what VRA. So that's probably failing because expected plop server identity tenants woo subtenants but got systems got a collection of a hash table. Okay, so let's do some testing on my own here. Convert to IRM curl command and let's get one of our test cases here. We'll start with the test cases and then graduate to something bigger. I thought I had a really simple one in here. Apparently not. Oh yeah, here we're gonna use this one. Okay, curl command cannot process argument transformation, cannot convert value curl to type a curl command. You cannot call a method on a null value expression. Okay. So let's just try this here. So we want to say curl command. Do I not have the type for the class? Let's see. We're going to say dot slash source slash classes slash curl command.ps1. Now we should have curl command, and we don't. What is going on? Do I need to do an import module on that? Or maybe we just run it. There we go. Whoops, it's not a... Now we're getting something completely different. What's going on here? Curl command. Oh, okay. It just isn't auto completing the way I expected. That's all. Okay. So curl command equals. Okay, where did that go? Curl command. Okay, so it doesn't like that. Okay, so let's just do this. That's one thing I don't like about VS Code sometimes. And let's go to curl command equals. Okay, so now we're going to say curl command. Let's see, equals curl command. Okay, so this is where we're still getting there. You cannot call a method on a null valued expression. Okay, so curl command. So let's just say new, and we're still getting an error. Oh, okay, this time we actually got what I expected. This dot body prime.trem. Okay, so the data doesn't have anything in it. So I'm gonna try just for the sake of for the sake of testing. Oh, we didn't like the data at the end of it. Okay. So quick, that's an edge case that we need to support. So we need to say, so data, this dot body equals param value dot trim dot replace. So param value. Okay. Okay, so here's, so param value must be null. So let's actually take that curl command, where I'm at, notes, and say curl command, and then what we'll do is curl command true and data. Okay, so that is really unfortunate. So you notice that data doesn't have a param value. And I'm gonna bet that if we did a dash dash whatever and gave it another value, that this is going to say data So what I'm getting at here is, you notice that, so data, we passed it, so the value for data here on line 7 is null, but the parser doesn't return null, it returns nothing. So as far as it's concerned, that was nothing, which is true. Crap, that is really unfortunate, because that makes it really difficult to test for that use case, because what if data starts with dash dash? What if the value in data starts with dash dash? Because we can't say, so if data is null, we can't test for the next one. What if the next one doesn't have dash dash in front of it? So what I mean there is, because I'm confusing myself, and so that's why I'm explaining it again and again and again. But dash dash data. So if I say, so if, go back to the core command. So if the param name is data, I can what I could say is if param value does not start with dash dash, but what if it does? So what if data was dash dash blah for some reason? Not that I think it would be. I think there's a very low chance that would be, but I want it to be able to be. Oh. Okay, so for right now, that is just going to be a bug, a known bug. We'll go with that. Known bug, cannot accept null parameters. Okay, that's unfortunate. Right. Okay, so let's look at some of the other. Oh, but that doesn't solve the one that wasn't working. We'll come back to that. Okay. Oh, this one's not even. Don't even know what happened to this one. Okay, so let's just do this. Curl string equals. Okay, what happened there? Oh, hit F8 inside of a markdown file. That was what happened. Okay, so now we can say convert to IRM curl command. I wanted to curl string. And we'll do a string output. And there, I think that's actually correct. So we've got header auth key, h auth key, yeah, and we got an x auth workspace. And then we've got x auth signature, which is nothing, which is, yeah, got nothing. Content type application JSON. And then accept is application JSON, and then the method is get. So method get, nice. And then there's the URI. Nice. And we should probably return quotes around the URI. At least that's what I'm thinking. So I'm gonna update that really quick. The toString this dot raw command to IRM. Okay, so where URI, and then we're just gonna put single quotes around there. Okay, cool. So that'll actually add quotes to the URI. Okay, so let's go back to the tests. So test case 1 is h accept h authorization bearer token IRM equals headers Oh, okay. So these tests don't keep up with the fact that I moved away from convert from JSON and instead I did the convert to HT string. So that's what's going on there. Excuse me. Also, by default, it returns a hash table. So if you notice before, excuse me, got the hiccups now apparently. Convert to IRM curl string returns a hash table. So the idea is it's a splat. So you could then simply take that and pipe it, or not pipe it, but splat it straight to invoke rest method. Cool. So what I want to do is say string. And that one isn't anything. Okay. So now let's see what test produces. That looks great. Okay, whoa. All right. Curl command methods, constructors, should not throw, return type string. Nice, still got 2 failed. Okay, so the string was different. But they were different. Okay, so let's just do let's convert this one manually really quick. Whoops. There we go. Let's see. So we want IRM equals convert to IRM, str, and then string. So now we can look at IRM and see that this is the string that we expect, but it's not the string that we want. Because you notice here, I don't think I'm, yeah, no, I'm not blocking that. The accept's got a double single quote, and the authorization has a double single quote. What is the string that we passed it? Interesting. So the parser removes the double quotes but not single quotes. So we are going to replace these. And then try that again. That's more what we do, what we would expect. Okay, interesting. Have to make sure I got that in the docs. So this is the string that we do expect. So we can go back to these tests and say test case IRM equals bam, except like that, not indented. Okay, so now we should be able to say. If I can spell test right. So we now should have 2 failed tests still. Expected length 198, actual length 166. Expected false, but was false. Interesting. Oh, so inside of double quotes, I've got the Boolean. So we're going to do that to fix that. And we should be able to just run that again. And it still failed. Expected, but was. Okay, what index? 119. I think 121. Oh, interesting. So for some reason, that's really weird. For some reason, it's the string is this test case 1. Just doing some testing here. So if it's creating the curl value and convert to IRM, that is actually not giving us the value that we expect. Why is that? We're back to the, oh, it's because I fixed it in my notes, but not in the actual test. So let's do that. So we always need to make sure we've got the correct. I think we can just run this straight and yeah. So that's a lot better. So expected length was 199, actual length was 196. And so we notice it converted it to a one-liner. So that's where the /R, I believe that's a new line, right? So can we just say I think that will work. Let's find out. I just ran it again, and we string lengths are both nice. Okay, but expected /R, but it was not /R. What? So it's /R, and then it's a okay /R. Interesting. I think this is an encoding issue. But let's find out. Well, no, this is going to be a different length string now. Let's see. Yeah, that didn't. Expected /R, but it was not. Okay, so. So with the new lines in there, it is still expecting, but it was actually an index. Interesting. So for some reason, this single line string isn't single lining the way I expect it to. or multi-line string, sorry. And if we run it that way, which is the way I would expect it to, it's still getting that \r. So this is interesting. I wonder if I'm returning the string as a certain encoding. Nope, that is a negative. Okay, so I'm not actually sure how to fix this at this point in time. So I'm just going to get it into a variable so we can do some comparisons here. So we got curl string compare 1 equals let's see, so curl equals compare 1 false. Okay. Okay, so index 119, so curl 119. So this is the original one. Compare 119. Okay, so for some reason, oh, I just got an idea. So for some reason, this string isn't storing the way we expect it to. But what we can do is we can make it a single line string and use our backtick R, backtick R, like that. I think that will not work. Expected. So the new line isn't. So is it? Do I have to do RN? I think I have to do RN. That's probably what it is. Okay, so RN. Sorry, I'm like thinking and trying to get this typed out at the same time. Expected length 199, actual length 196. Expected. Okay, so it's. I should be using the N, not the R. Okay. So those are shortcuts for lines. There we go. Okay, so the next one is failing for some reason. I want to fix these tests so I can get this new version published and then get some testing done on it. Some further testing and then open some issues and get some more development done. Add some more parameters, that sort of thing. Let's see, so test case IRM, let's see, test case curl, get, okay, so this is the same thing, I'm gonna guess. I'm just gonna switch the quotes here. I think that's all that needs to happen. Let's find out. No, that is not all that needs to happen. Hostname cannot be parsed. Okay. Why is that? It's because it's a test hostname. Okay, so testdomain.com. Let's just add something in here. So that should, that looks a lot better. Okay. Expected them to be the same, but they were different. Expected length 219, actual length 232. Expected. Okay, so then what we can do is, whoops. Oh, where did I go? Oh, there we go. Okay, so what I can do is I'm going to add that I'm going to add this curl command in here, and or not invoke, convert to IRM, and then give it that that command. Whoops, string. Okay, so this is the string that we want. Oh, this is, yeah, this is because it's got the convert from JSON still. Okay. Okay, and again, we're just gonna delete the new line. Okay, and whoop, nope, I need to fix that. Okay, so I think that should, okay, we're close. So expected length is 230. Got false. Oh, it's again, this is the same thing we saw before. Damn, okay. Oh, I expected that to actually be the same. Expected, I got extra space in there, but or not enough spaces, except. So the except should need an extra space. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Okay. Okay. There we go. Okay. So now let's do the invoke, build, task, test. And those should all pass. Yes. Okay. Sweet. Okay. So, okay. So I'm gonna fix that spacing there. So we are going to. Let's see. Okay, well, we'll come back to that test another time. Okay. Why? Oh, okay. So let's start doing some commits here. Curl command. Yeah. Okay. Let's come up with a good comment here. Implemented a .NET parser. Let's see. So let's see, removed. Is it too long? No, it's not. Okay, cool. Remove the URL class in favor of system.uri, which is great. Updated the tests to actually work. Oh, except I wanted just those two. There we go. Don't have to undo a commit. That's always annoying. Okay, and then, oh yeah, that's in the build folder. We're not gonna worry too much about that. Okay, so the next step is to push that to GitHub. First of all, get URL data. Oh, switch to system.uri. Okay. Okay, so let's see. That's the build. Okay, so the next thing is to do some testing and see if we can get it to actually build and publish. So I believe dev.azure.com. Let me get started. Let me get signed into, I got to pull up on a different screen. I'm going to get signed into Azure DevOps really quick. What? Oh, there you go. Sign into Azure DevOps. Okay. And here, let me bring this over in just a second. I got my Curl2PS project. Okay, and this looks really funky because I got Dark Reader on, and it doesn't work in Azure DevOps, which is okay. Okay, so we've got, oh, we don't have any boards. We got a pipeline, we got a build pipeline, Curl2PS.ci. So you can see I did run it earlier after building or doing a commit to master, which we shouldn't do. But let's see if we can actually figure out what happened in this build. So we got an error in the PowerShell script. So the tests all passed, interestingly enough, even though they were failing when we ran them. Okay, but we error module Curl2PS version 0.0.2 because it's the same version that's already in the repository. Haha, that's why it failed, because I didn't increment the version. So aren't we glad we read that ahead of time? Because we are, so I haven't implemented automatic versioning. So let's implement our manual versioning here. Well, the task is build is module build. Okay, sweet. So build. So now we can just verify our build is actually, if we go to build, is actually 0.0.3. Module looks good. Okay. Let's see. Built 0.0.3. Okay, so we're gonna push that, and I believe, so we could run publish locally, but the idea is to not do that locally. So what we're going to do is going to go back to GitHub. Oops, that's what I was working on last week. Curl2PS is what we're working on this week. Okay, so less than a minute ago, that's what we wanted. And I got everything pushed up. So let's do a PR. I'll do a PR in my own repo. Nice. Parser. Switched from regular expressions to using a parser. Nice. Okay. This module now uses. I'm gonna look up what the actual type is. There we go. All right, I think that's really as explanatory as we need to be. At least one approving reviewer is now required. Merging happy form with one approving reviewer. Okay, so I am an approving reviewer, so I can just, as an administrator, still merge. Okay. You know, it'd be really cool is if I had actually implemented it so it actually ran all those tests first. But create a merge command, all commits added, yeah. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and merge it. User administrator. Oh yeah. Sorry, I thought I was just sitting there waiting. There we go, merging, ... Okay, cool. So now we should end up with a build that kicks off here. There we go. We got the queue. Sweet. Okay. We're going to sit here and watch this to make sure it actually builds the way we expect. Agent is ready for the job. Well, that's going. I'm just getting a quick drink. Okay, looks good so far. Well, this is really exciting, isn't it? While I'm waiting, I wanted to see. Oh, there we go. Oh, got an error. Gosh darn it. Okay, let's take a look here. The running command stop because error action preface or common parameter is set to stop. Okay, that's fine. Unable to find type. Okay, so that's one thing I was kind of worried about, is that type was only going to be available on my system. Which means we need to include that in the module. Cool, so let's do that. Okay, so that is, well, actually I've already, oh, hiccups again, or maybe just burping. Let's see, Microsoft dot CommandLineParser. Okay, sweet. So let's just go and ask the Google where CommandLineParser, where that class is. Microsoft code analysis. Oh, Roslyn. Okay, so that's roslyn.net. Battlestar Galactica, anyone? For Roslyn? Was that the name of the president for a while? Okay, so Roslyn provides basically interest code API analysis. Great. Where do we download it? Probably a NuGet repository. Let's see. To install latest release without. Oh, daily build. I don't want a daily build. We can probably just grab. Oh, .NET.MyGit. Okay, hold on a second. Maybe they have it actually just as releases. There we go. We can probably just download it straight from here. Maybe we do need to use NuGet to get it. Holy crap, 5,000 issues. Let's see if we can find it by tag 3.0. How do we find what version we're currently using? Let's look. So we know how to list the DLLs in PowerShell? I don't actually know. PowerShell find DLL version. It's file version. So we have to actually know where it is too. Yeah, I gotta actually know where it is. And that I do not know. Hello, how's it going? Is it evening? It's still morning for me. Let's see. I'm gonna go with 3.2.0, but I believe this is just the source code. Let's go Rosslyn NuGet. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to get the code analysis, .NET DLL added, because that's what I just switched my module over to use. I believe we can do that from here. This package was built from source at, I believe it's codeanalysis.common. But anyway, I've got to add this to the module itself. Oh crap, megabyte is huge. I was not expecting that. So let's take a look at what's in there. So here's the contents of that folder. Code analysis, that's probably, I think that's all we need. Let's find out. So let's switch back over to our build here, and we're gonna have to add another folder called lib. And let's reveal an explorer, and just gonna copy that DLL into there. And so we should, I don't have the open with PowerShell. So what I want to do is let's see, add type path / Microsoft could not load. Oh, that's not good. Microsoft Code Analysis version 3.3.0. That is really unfortunate now. Crap. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Okay. Okay, so I was getting 3.3.1. You know what? I wonder if, okay, that's actually a good point. Would probably need to copy everything into there as well. Okay, so let's try that again. Same thing. Path could not load. Okay. Okay, so this is going above and beyond what I know about using DLLs with PowerShell. Code analysis common, code analysis C#, code analysis visual base. Oh, interesting. Okay, so let's try, instead of a common, let's try one of these other ones. Let's see, extract to C#. Okay, so let's try this. So we're gonna try this DLL. Let me actually just move this over here. All right, so add type. Oh wait, cd lib. Net standard. Okay, add type. Microsoft code analysis. Let's use C#. Oh, sorry. Path. Could not load file or assembly. Well, shoot. What other options were there? Code analysis, analyzers, workspaces. Okay, yeah, this is way beyond. Without doing a lot of Microsoft.NET Core analyzers. Code analysis, new patches, not need to be solved separately. Yeah, I'm not sure how to get that type added to systems that are my local one. Oh gosh darn it. Well, maybe. Okay, let's try something here. Well, it would be able to find it. So in, let's look at the build itself. So the build pipeline. So I have to install modules manually in the pipeline, which makes sense. So my build script, I've actually got, where am I going here? There it is. Okay, so in the build script, actually, the build, sorry, build.ps1. So I'm installing all the modules. So I wonder if I can install a NuGet package using PowerShell. And then, well, let's find out here. Install NuGet package using PowerShell. Install package. Oh, okay, I knew that. Install package. Okay, great. Let's go back to. Let's see where we're at here. There we go. Oh, wait a second. Microsoft code analysis. So maybe I was actually looking at even the wrong DLL. So Microsoft code analysis, namespace. Okay, do we know how to find it in, let's see, CommandLineParser. Assembly Microsoft code analysis.dll. Okay, so maybe that's what I should be doing. I might be going about this the wrong way. Microsoft code analysis. Was I looking at this one before? Oh, I don't think so. I was going down the wrong rabbit hole. Okay, so this looks a lot better. Any of these sub packages, only C# both compilers speech. So let's. Oh, this is what I expected to be in size. A lot smaller than 1 megabyte. So let's take a look at this one. And I'm doing a lot of flailing here because I don't do this kind of stuff very often, which is why I'm doing it, so I can learn. So if someone watching is like, oh, you're doing it completely the wrong way, let me know. Oh, I can make that bigger. Okay, what is this? Oh, there's nothing in here. What? I've got new spec, packages. What's in the new spec file? Let's see, so dependencies. Sorry, I'm looking at the what files should actually be in the interesting. Okay, I don't know if this is supposed to be empty or not, or if I'm just missing something. Let's try a different version. 3.2.1. Download package, same thing. Okay, so this must be for use inside of Visual Studio is what I would guess, because that's probably just a list of dependencies to install for it to work. At least that would be my guess, and that's coming from someone who doesn't know very much. Oh, here we go. Here's someone else who had this issue. Probably not PowerShell, but Visual Studio 2016. Oh yeah, that's Visual Studio specific. Okay. Okay, why is Chrome going black? I've had that issue recently. Oh, dependencies. .NET Framework, .NET Standard. Oh, here we go. This package is built from source at. Okay, that's fine. Newer pre-release. Okay. So I will continue flailing here. Try something else out. This part might get really boring. But we will see if... I don't know why I keep working with that so small. Yeah, that's probably not what we want. Okay. Where do we actually get code analysis.dll? Is that the same as, okay. I haven't had to do this before with versioning in DLLs, so. Ah, crap. I'm even running out of time. Dang it. I want to get this working today. Let's see. Support for code analysis.C#. I've already tried this one. Maybe this is a different one. We'll find out. Let's see if it's, nope, same thing. It's probably even the same size. 498, yeah. Okay. Oh, I kind of get to the point where I'm not sure. Microsoft code analysis.dll. Not sure how to get around this. Well, let's publish PowerShell NuGet packages, Microsoft code analysis C#, known issues, install. Okay, so I will figure out if I potentially have to use a different. Actually, so originally I was going to use a different parser. So let's just, in my 16 minutes that I've got left before I've got some errands to take care of. Let's see if we can actually use the one I was originally thinking of. Oh, I've even had it downloaded. CommandLineParser 2.6.0, lib net standard 2.0. Okay. Where's my PowerShell window? Set location, not local group. There we go. Okay, so add type / commandline.dll. Oh, path. Ugh. Path. Oh, that works. Okay, so the thing is that command. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I want a comma. Command line dot. So the thing is, I didn't read much up on the docs. Maybe not parse dot parser. That looks promising. Parser default, but sorry, I'm going through the properties here. Oh, I'm probably blocking it. Sorry. CommandLineParser dot default equals new. What? Oh, so I can just make a parser new. Parser dot settings dispose equals get hash get type parse arguments. Yes. Okay, so I may have to just use some different one. Let's find out. Could not find an overload for parse arguments and count 1. Okay, so parser.parse arguments. String and types. String args. Let's quit that. There, that looks a little better. CommandLineParser. Oh, using template objects. Yeah, I enumeral string args. So it takes. Okay, this might be a little beyond me as well. Okay, that's unfortunate. Parser dot to what is? Okay, so I'm gonna have to read up on the docs on how to use that one, or figure out how to get the Microsoft code analysis to work inside of PowerShell. So code analysis PowerShell. This is probably gonna tell us how to parse PowerShell using it. PowerShell script analyzer. That probably. Oh, it's built on C#. Okay. Well, this is not how I wanted to end it today. Okay. Well, anyway, this is all going to be very boring as I try to figure this out. So I'm probably going to go find some sustenance and get some errands run before the weekend and go from there. So anyway, anyone that tuned in or caught this on YouTube, thanks for watching. If you have any assistance that you would like to give me based on the problems I'm having that you are familiar with, feel free to reach out to me, Twitter, comments here on Twitch, that sort of thing. I actually had someone reach out to me for my stream last week and say, hey, you should do it differently, which was great. So yeah, if you've got something you can add, you can help me out. If you know how to solve this problem that I'm having, reach out, let me know. So yeah, hey, Brett, thanks for tuning in. Have a wonderful evening while I continue to enjoy the last 12 minutes of my morning. All right. Cool. Have a good one.